Take 1 second and hit subscribe as we continue. As Nneka followed the river towards the sacred forest, she felt the weight of the task ahead of her pressing down on her shoulders. The air grew colder, and the forest around her seemed to grow darker and more foreboding with every step she took. But she didn't waver. She couldn't afford to. The sacred forest was said to be a place of great power, where the spirits of the ancestors dwelled. It was also the place where the dark spirit had been awakened, and where Nneka would have to face it if she wanted to save the village. She knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with danger, but she also knew that she had to see it through. As she approached the edge of the forest, Nneka felt a chill run down her spine. The trees were tall and ancient, their branches twisted and gnawed. The air was thick with an eerie silence, as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for her to enter. Nneka took a deep breath and stepped into the forest. The moment she did, she felt a strange sensation, as if the ground beneath her feet was shifting, and the air around her was alive with unseen forces. She could feel the dark spirit's presence, lurking just out of sight, watching her every move. But Nneka didn't let fear take hold. She had faced many dangers before, and she knew that she couldn't afford to be afraid now. She pressed on, moving deeper into the forest, her senses on high alert. The forest was like a labyrinth, with paths that twisted and turned, leading her deeper into its heart. Nneka could feel the spirit's power growing stronger with every step she took, and she knew that the final confrontation was drawing near. As she walked, Nneka heard strange noises all around her, the rustling of leaves, the creaking of branches, and the faint sound of whispers in the wind. She knew that the spirit was trying to frighten her, to make her turn back. But Nneka was determined. She couldn't turn back now, not when she was so close. Finally, Nneka reached a clearing in the heart of the forest. The ground was covered in a thick layer of mist, and the air was heavy with a sense of foreboding. In the center of the clearing stood a massive, ancient tree, its trunk gnarled and twisted, its branches reaching out like the arms of a giant. Nneka knew that this was the place where the dark spirit had been awakened. She could feel its presence all around her, lurking in the shadows, waiting for her to make the first move. Taking a deep breath, Nneka stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that this would be the most dangerous moment of her journey, but she also knew that she had no choice. She had to face the spirit, to banish it once and for all, or else the village, and everyone she cared about, would be lost. As she approached the tree, the mist began to swirl around her, growing thicker and more oppressive. Nneka could feel the spirit's power pressing down on her, trying to crush her resolve. But she didn't waver. She couldn't afford to. "Show yourself," Nneka called out, her voice strong and clear. "I'm not afraid of you." For a moment, there was silence. Then, slowly, the mist began to take shape, forming into a dark, shadowy figure that hovered above the ground. The figure's eyes glowed with an eerie light, and its presence filled the clearing with a sense of dread. "You are brave to come here, mortal," the spirit hissed, its voice echoing through the clearing. "But your bravery will not save you. You will fall, just like all the others who have dared to challenge me." Nneka's heart pounded in her chest, but she didn't let fear take hold. She knew that she had to stay strong, to face the spirit head-on, if she wanted to save the village. "I'm not like the others," Nneka said, her voice firm. "I've faced darkness before, and I've survived. I won't let you take this village. I won't let you win." The spirit let out a cold, mocking laugh. "You are nothing but a foolish child," it sneered. You cannot hope to defeat me. I am ancient, powerful, and unstoppable. Your fate is sealed. Nneka clenched her fist, her heart filled with determination. She knew that this would be the hardest battle of her life, but she also knew that she couldn't back down. Not now, not when so much was at stake. With a deep breath, Nneka reached into her bag and pulled out the small carved figure that Uzo had given her. She held it up, letting the spirit see it, and she could feel its power coursing through her, giving her strength. This is for Uzo, Nneka said, her voice filled with resolve. And for all the people of the village. I will not let you take them. I will not let you win. The spirit let out a furious roar, and the ground beneath Nneka's feet began to tremble. But Nneka didn't waver. She held the figure tightly, her heart filled with determination, and she stepped forward to face the spirit head-on. The final battle had begun, and Nneka knew that she had to give it everything she had. The fate of the village, and the lives of everyone she cared about, depended on it. Nneka held the small carved figure tightly in her hand as she faced the dark spirit in the clearing. The air around her was thick with mist, and the trees seemed to shiver in fear. The spirit's eyes glowed with an eerie light, and its voice echoed through the forest like a chilling wind. You cannot defeat me, the spirit hissed, its form shifting and swirling like smoke. I am ancient, powerful, and unstoppable. Nneka's heart pounded in her chest, but she refused to back down. She had come too far, and she couldn't let the spirit destroy everything she loved. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing thoughts. You are not unstoppable, Nneka said, her voice steady. You can be defeated. And I will do it, for Uzo, for Ada, and for everyone in my village. The spirit laughed, a cold, mocking sound that sent shivers down Nneka's spine. You are nothing but a child, it sneered. You have no idea what you are dealing with. But Nneka did not waver. She knew that she had to be brave, no matter how scared she felt inside. The fate of her village, and everyone she cared about, depended on her. Slowly, Nneka raised the carved figure in front of her. The figure began to glow softly, its light pushing back the darkness that surrounded the spirit. The spirit hissed in anger, recoiling from the light. What is this? The spirit snarled, its voice filled with fury. How dare you use that against me? Nneka's hands trembled slightly, but she held the figure steady. This is a gift from someone who believed in me, she said. It's a symbol of hope and courage. And I will use it to banish you. The spirit let out a furious roar, and the ground beneath Nneka's feet began to shake. The trees swayed violently, and the mist thickened, swirling around them like a living creature. Nneka took a step forward, her eyes locked on the spirit. She could feel the power of the figure coursing through her, filling her with strength she didn't know she had. You cannot defeat me, the spirit screamed, its voice filled with rage. I will destroy you and your village. But Nneka didn't flinch. She knew that this was the moment she had been preparing for. She had to give everything she had, or else it would all be for nothing. With a deep breath, Nneka began to chant the words that the elder had taught her. The words were ancient, powerful, and filled with magic. As she spoke, the light from the figure grew brighter, shining like a beacon in the darkness. The spirit shrieked in pain, its form twisting and writhing as the light pierced through it. No, it screamed. You cannot do this. You are just a child. But Nneka didn't stop. She continued to chant, her voice growing stronger with each word. The light from the figure intensified, surrounding the spirit in a blinding glow. The spirit let out one final, agonized scream, and then, with a burst of light, it vanished. The mist dissipated, and the forest grew still. The air was suddenly clear, and the oppressive darkness was gone. Nneka stood there for a moment, breathing heavily, trying to process what had just happened. The spirit was gone. She had done it. She had saved her village. Slowly, Nneka lowered the carved figure, her hands shaking from the effort. She felt a strange mix of relief and exhaustion wash over her. She had faced her greatest fear, and she had won. But it had taken everything she had. With the spirit gone, the forest seemed to come alive again. The birds began to sing, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. The sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm, golden light over the clearing. Nneka took a deep breath, letting the fresh air fill her lungs. She felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. It was over. The darkness was gone, and her village was safe. But as she turned to leave the forest, she felt a strange tug in her chest. She looked down at the carved figure in her hand, its light now dimmed. She realized that she wasn't the same person who had entered this forest. She had changed. She had faced the darkness within herself and come out stronger. As Nneka walked back to the village, she thought about everything that had happened. She had lost Uzo, but she had also found a strength within herself that she didn't know existed. She knew that Uzo would be proud of her. When she reached the village, she was greeted with cheers and smiles. The villagers gathered around her, their faces filled with gratitude and relief. Ada ran to her, throwing her arms around Nneka. "You did it!" Ada cried, tears streaming down her face. "You saved us!" Nneka smiled and hugged Ada tightly. "We saved each other," she said softly. The elder approached Nneka, his eyes filled with pride. "You have done what many thought was impossible," he said. "You have saved this village and given us all hope." Nneka nodded, feeling a warmth in her heart. She had done what she had set out to do. She had faced her fears, fought for what she believed in, and won. As the villagers celebrated, Nneka stood quietly, looking out at the horizon. She knew that life would never be the same again. But she also knew that she had the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The darkness was gone, but Nneka understood that there would always be challenges in life. She had learned that true courage wasn't about being fearless, it was about facing your fears and doing what was right, no matter how difficult it might be. As the sun set over the village, casting long shadows across the land, Nneka felt a deep sense of peace. She had found her place in the world, and she knew that she would never stop fighting for those she loved. And so, Nneka stood tall, a hero in the eyes of her people, and a beacon of hope for all who knew her story. She had faced the darkness and won, and she knew that she could face whatever came next with the same courage and determination. The end of this story was not just the end of the dark spirit, but the beginning of a new chapter in Nneka's life, one filled with hope, love, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Thank you so much guys for watching to this point, I really appreciate you all. Kindly subscribe, like, comment and share to your family and friends. See you next time. Bye.